This would be nice. Look at that nice, tight center, and there's some stuff underneath here too. This end grain is great. It's solid right to the center. I think we've got something here that can really be used. My name is Virgil Leih, and I'm a large-scale wood turner. The way that I have defined my art is that it really has come out of building a log home up in Ely, Minnesota. And it was the first time that I saw the beauty and the variety of the kinds of grain that are in a single log. It started dawning on me that if I ever had the opportunity to create pieces that would show other people the kind of grain that's inside of logs, I thought it would be a wonderful thing. I'm a lifelong wood lover. I mean, I grew up in a construction family, and I can remember my dad just taking a 2x4 piece, and he would smell it, and he says, "Doesn't that smell wonderful?" And I just know his love of wood just really made an impression on me. So every one of my pieces, even if the shape is similar, it's never the same because the grain makes it so different. And in a lot of ways, I'm a grain chaser. I am only interested in doing Minnesota trees. So everything that I've ever done comes from Minnesota. And there are a tremendous number of trees available to me, but I never take down a tree in order to do this art. These are all discarded trees and are already down when I find them. The trees that I work with can weigh anywhere from 300, 400, 500 pounds minimum, all the way up to 3,000, 4,000 pounds. So this is the 1917 Oliver open gap pattern maker's lathe that I got out of Massachusetts. It's the biggest production wood lathe that's ever been manufactured in the United States. The thing weighs 8,000 pounds, and there's not very many of these lathes left. That had the size that was needed in order to hold a 3,000 pound piece of wood. Well, on this piece of hackberry, where we're going is right here. This is what we want to get. We're taking one more strip off this, and we'll keep going across the whole surface. But we'll just take this section down now, and then later we'll work on the rest. But this is what the whole log's got to look like. You know, these trees can be very, very large when they go up on the lathe, but the truth is, at the end of the process, 95% of that tree is on the floor. We're just beginning to do some shaping. I'm getting the neck into a place where it's prepping for a shape that I really like, and that's called the trumpet top. Once I got this log open, then I was able to take my sketchbook out and to see what shape might best reveal the grain that's in there. This will be really an outstanding grain, and what it means from the outside to the inside, I need to go deeper in there to begin to reveal this darker striped grain. You'll see the contrast between the lighter, whiter wood and this dark grain that will appear over a period of time. Well, in the beginning, I thought the biggest challenge would be just managing these pieces and learning to turn them, and that ended up not being the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is learning to dry them. Well, this is part of what happens in the process of drying, and you know, 1 out of 3, 1 of 4 just blows wide open, but nature doesn't want to be put into this shape. That ended up being something that I struggled with for years, and it took a long time, so it was a lot of experimentation, and presently I do this by putting them into a microwave. Well, this is a microwave that I built in order to do this kind of work. Well, I first started experimenting in my wife's kitchen. It is her kitchen, and it is her microwave. And then I took the shell of a washing machine and built the next size of a microwave, and that worked. So then went to a really large size that I knew that I could dry any size piece that I would ever turn. It is in a bag. This allows the moisture to slowly come out over a 2 to 3 week period of time. This has been in about 72 hours, and it continues to dry out, but it needs to turn on this turntable in order to have the microwaves go in and out, just like your kitchen microwave. The microwave starts out being on 5 seconds per minute. So it's very slow. This is super defrost cycle. If you can relate that back to your kitchen. This will dry this to the point where you won't see any checks and you won't see any cracks. So that's the goal. Well, we've got very thick coat of shellac on here as we begin to seal this wood. And that, of course, all has to be sanded out to perfection between each coat before the next coat of shellac is applied. So it's a long process, but each coat needs to be sanded out until we have approximately 7 coats on this. And part of the next step would be buffing this out. I worked for 5 years, and none of my former associates or friends, they had no idea what I was doing, and I wouldn't tell them. And so I'm working on developing this art form in total anonymity. So when the Arboretum invited me to come and do a show, I was so frightened and so scared. I can't tell you, because doing a first public showing of something when you're 64 years old, I didn't sleep for weeks. Well, this is a piece of ash, and of course this is what they make baseball bats out of. It's a beautiful piece of art just in and of itself, and the way that nature has prepared that. This actually is the form of a seashell. This is a 7-foot piece of Minnesota ash, and in this shape you see so much of the interior life of the tree and the outside of the structure of this grain. This is a piece of walnut that is the crotch of a tree. This is where the Y would have started and taken place. You can see the seedling, and this is where the life of this tree began, and then you can watch all the subsequent years of development and growth with each tree ring. It's always a joy and so much fun to see art develop this way, and the natural medium of tree trunks.
There's something in Virgil's work that exudes a sense of power that is hard to describe. There's a word that comes to mind when I look at these, and it's awesome. I think it's overused a lot today. Awesome, everything is awesome. But I think when you come here and you look into these things and the unique grain and the individual character of each one, there's power in them that just sucks you right in.
I've been very pleased with the reception of the people who have come here. They've come in wonderful numbers. I mean, it's been a little bit shocking. There is no greater reward than to see something that somebody is just awestruck by what they're looking at. And I can say that because I didn't create that grain. I didn't create that beauty. All I did was a participant to reveal the beauty that was already there. I hope when people see this art that they will know that even though this comes from what are called these tree trunk dumps, this is rescued wood. But there was beauty in those tree trunks. Once they were opened up and the beauty could be revealed, it was something special. And I think it's a life lesson for all of us. I know as I was beginning to move toward this art form, I was looking for something that I would be able to do on into retirement. So I know that I needed something that would motivate me and never become a chore. And I know this can take me the distance. I'm loving every minute of it, and it is extremely satisfying. It's absolutely wonderful.